And we are live. Looks like we have 3 people watching. Gonna tweet this out. Hold on.
Hey, y'all. Welcome.
How's it? I think it's right now it's just you and me. Let's tweet this out.
On it.
All right, let's see. So how's your weekend going?
Not too terrible.
That's good.
We spent last night out and about. Sierra and I went camping and fishing.
Ooh, where'd you go?
Just up recapture.
Gotcha.
One of the nice things about having a few spots locally and right close that we can hit. It's kind of nice. So took the trailer out, the fishing poles, the dog, and some cameras and drones.
Nice. Are you making a video or?
Yeah, we shot it. We'll see how it turns out. I ended up killing 3 batteries on my camera and 3 batteries on the drone, and never really shot a closure on it.
Gotcha.
So I'll have to figure out a way to close it out, but yeah, that's the plan, is put something together on that. So trying to get a backlog of some film and video, just so I can start putting together a lot for the winter when slow season and everything.
Makes sense. That's one thing that I need to figure out is what I'm gonna do for the winter.
You're not gonna ride your motorcycle in the winter?
Nah. I mean, when I win the lottery, what I want to do is put one of those. They have ski tracks that you can put on it.
Yep.
I want to put one of those on it.
That would be interesting. I've seen them on bikes, but mostly like dirt bikes.
Yeah. I don't even know if it would fit on my bike. But I think it'd be interesting.
That would be interesting on your bike, for sure.
Trying to figure out trying to think what I did this weekend. I haven't done much this weekend. I started school, got all my schoolwork done for the week, so that's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you find any place to look at PHP yet, or?
I found a couple. I started that this morning. So the job that I applied for, that I had the 3 different interviews with, they said everything looked good, everyone enjoyed talking with you. We just have a concern that you don't have any PHP experience. So that's why
I'm coming to work for you, so you can teach me how to do PHP.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it probably won't work or help with this position, but I know it'll help in the future. So that's why I was looking at PHP and trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I started working a little bit on PHP back when I first started building websites, and then kind of didn't really get into it much. Just studied enough to get through what was I creating, forms and stuff, I think.
Gotcha.
So, but I was reading through your post on that, looking for information, and the one place I was going to send you is the one that you said you'd tried.
The Code Academy?
Yeah.
I love Code Academy. Unfortunately, for some reason, they feel that they don't need to offer any more PHP programs.
There's 2 of them that I'd heard about recently. One was Code Academy, and the other one is Khan Academy. KAHN.
Somebody actually just suggested that.
And I haven't looked into it enough, so I don't know what that is. But that was another suggestion I was going to throw at you, so.
I'll check that.
Yeah.
But I started today through W3 Schools.
Nice.
I mean, I just wanted to get something started. So
right. They have stuff on PHP there.
Yeah, they do.
Nice.
So we're talking about video equipment, video production, things like that. I guess. Hey, Big John, how are you doing today?
Hey, Big J.
I guess let's start with your equipment, Jared.
Which aspect? How do you want to talk about equipment? Because
Equipment.
I'm assuming like mostly YouTube based stuff, or do we want to go
Yeah.
production?
Let's start with YouTube base.
And what questions would you have to lead us into YouTube based equipment?
Let's see. Let's go with basic. Like, if you're first starting out a YouTube channel, what to look for when you're looking for equipment.
I mean, that's almost the loaded question, really.
Okay.
I mean, you and I have had this discussion before. Is what do you need to get started with YouTube?
Hey, Michelle.
You could simply go out and start a whole YouTube channel nowadays with one of these, and you need nothing more than this.
Okay.
Some people get really hung up on the equipment and what they have to have and what they should have to really get involved and put something together. So, but literally nowadays, if you go out and buy a new iPhone or a new Samsung or whatever else is out there, sorry, I don't know all the phones, Google Pixels, whatever those are. I mean, you can start basically with a phone and be up and running with a YouTube channel nowadays. So that's as simple as you can get. From there, it's all up in price, up in quality, going from a GoPro camera. You can begin with a GoPro or even a knockoff GoPro, not to just get stuck on the GoPro name, but I think when you say GoPro, everybody nowadays knows kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah, like an action camera.
An action camera. Yeah.
So for me, I started my YouTube channel with my iPhone, and I moved on from my iPhone to my GoPro.
Right.
And, like right now, I started with the Hero 3, and now I have my Hero 5, and these are $300-$400, and I think for me, I think they're great equipment. They're very versatile. GoPro has gotten the sound better. Like, I use an external microphone myself, but GoPro has, at least according to the new reviews that I've seen on the 7, is they've improved the audio quite a bit.
Right.
And
I haven't even looked at the specs that they dropped this week on the 7, other than somebody posted up some of the frame rates and stuff. So I haven't looked at that, but yeah, I mean, GoPros are fantastic. I use one with mine depending on what I'm doing. If I'm out running a canyon, I'm going to be carrying a GoPro mostly. And I'm still rocking the 4. So you don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars on equipment to get started with YouTube. Now, if you're looking at more quality production type stuff, then you're probably going to spend a little bit more money. You made a really good point with stating that you run an external mic on your GoPro. I think that is a huge benefit to the whole overall production quality. If you can even get on your cell phone, Rode microphones makes a really good plug-in phone adapter that you can add right onto your phone for microphones.
interesting.
And GoPros, obviously, you can get all sorts of external mics for them. That I think that alone ups your production quality immensely if you can have really good audio there.
Yeah, I feel like, because I know when I first started, at least with my Hero 3, the audio was in my opinion garbage, and so that's why I started with the external microphone, and I feel like once I added that, it went up in quality.
Yeah, If you look at just straight up production quality and what you look at in videos, even if you watch something on YouTube and try and pay attention to it, if you want to use that term, and maybe Michelle and John, you guys can chime in with some thoughts on equipment that you guys use and even things that you've seen. Your audio in production and the video world, you can, and if you watch any production channel on YouTube that talks about this, they'll say the same thing. If you have a crappy image but very good audio, it's a lot easier to watch and stay focused on the content, as opposed to if you have a really good video but crappy audio.
That makes sense.
It's really hard to stay focused on the material if you can't hear it, if the audio quality is bad. It tunes you out really quickly. So and even in quality productions and stuff, one of the first things that I put money into aside of for my camera was microphones, and trying to make sure I have good quality audio for those videos. So hey, Hell Kitten.
Hey, Hell Kitten. So I guess, see, you have better. I mean, in my opinion, better equipment. You spent some money on it. What are you running right now?
Well, again, that goes back to twofold and why I asked the question where you want to start with and talking about equipment.
So what did you start with?
Well, if you start with, I'm saying if you're focusing on YouTube alone, that's going to be a whole lot different equipment than what somebody like me, where Brett and I, and hopefully Brett chimes in here at some point. He was going to jump on with us tonight, but Brett and I are pushing to actually start a production company down here and start doing videography, video production work for those out here in this area.
Okay.
So we are looking at a little bit better quality equipment than what a normal quote YouTuber would be looking at. So yeah, he probably did get cold feet.
I got cold feet in my first live stream.
Fujifilm FinePix, nice. So you just asked me what I use.
Yeah.
And that goes back again to I've got a little bit higher quality stuff that I use for production work. I was able to shoot a concert last weekend that was locally here produced, and so I have some better equipment for events and stuff. I use a Sony A6500. Is what I'm using for my YouTube stuff right now. Aside from, of course, the GoPro that I have for more action adventure stuff. But right now, the Sony A6500 is my go-to camera. I'm actually using it also as my live streaming camera, or else I'd show you and have it here. But yeah, that's my go-to right now. I've got the Sony camera with an external mic on it, and I'm shooting it through a 50mm lens right now.
You said it was a Sony
A6500. So Big John, I do have a Canon. I have not really used it for a long time though. I've had my Sony for just over a year now. I got the Sony for another concert event that I shot last year in September. And since I got the Sony, I really haven't used my Canon. I've got a 70D. And Canon, I liked the camera when I first got it. I used it for about 2 years. And Canon just has really good picture quality, really good color science. But the video portion, the video not quality, the video options that the Canon has and that they were making for the lower end user DSLR stuff was just leaps and bounds behind other manufacturers. So Sony has a lot better cameras, a lot better prosumers, they're called, version cameras like this A6500. Brett's running a Sony A6300. Excuse me. So we've kind of transitioned into the Sonys out of the Canons, just because we can get 4K, we can get slow motion out of them, and the picture quality I think is just as good once you color grade it and everything. So I still have a Canon. It's kind of my backup camera right now here. I'm actually running all my Canon lenses on my Sony because I like those lenses better. But yeah, Canon up until their newest release, which is what I can't remember. They just released one a couple weeks ago. That's finally matching up to what these Sonys are doing.
So I have a question for you. The Sony you have that's a mirrorless camera, right?
Correct.
So what's the benefit of the mirrorless camera? I actually for those of you that are not aware, the DSLR has basically a mirror that you use that's down, and when you take a picture or a video, the mirror flips up and the image is put on the sensor.
It's reflected back. The DSLR, I hope I get this right, stands for digital something lens reflection or refraction or something. So yeah, it's got that mirror. The mirrorless, honestly, I don't know what really the big difference is between the two,
Okay.
other than the body of the mirrorless cameras are a lot smaller because they don't have that mirror in there that they have to refract off of. So the bodies are smaller, which is really nice, especially for me being out in the back country a lot and traveling. So the mirrorless, even that over the Canon, works out a lot better. The body
Nice.
size on this Sony is at least half the size of the Canon.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm gonna share my screen. Hold on, because that actually looks
That's a big screen share there.
right there.
Yep.
That looks like a nice small camera.
It is. It's really nice and compact. And yeah, and it works really fantastic for that, for anything. John's got a Kodak as a backup. Is that like one of those
Does it print on demand?
disposable cameras?
Hey, him, how are you doing tonight? So the let me try and word this properly. As far as aspect ratio, what is it? What should you be looking at when you're looking for when you look into a camera? Like, do you think 720 is dead?
For the most part, 720 is dead.
Okay.
720, I think, if anybody watches people like Sarah Dietschy, she made a Twitter comment the other day that I think it was in reference to this. Actually, it was in reference to this Canon camera that just came out, stating something to the effect of, "Why is anybody in 2018 still making a camera with 720 in it?"
Okay.
My first GoPro was standard definition 480 or something.
I remember Jeff had one as well.
Yeah, I got mine along with him. But 720, I still think if you have it, there's a slight use for it. And most of that's because a lot of the 720s now will do like upwards of 240 frames a second, or some of them I think will do like 900 frames a second in 720.
Gotcha.
So you could do some really good slow motion with that camera in that 720, and then you just have to kind of zoom in the frame size a little bit to match that 1080. As far as aspect ratios, I don't believe you should be buying any camera that won't do anything as high as 1080. 1080 is what most people's standard flat screen definition TVs will be at nowadays, and what most YouTube videos are on is 1080. So you should have at least 1080 in your camera, I think, to fit in, and go from there. Upwards of there, you've got your ultra high def or ultra 4K, which you've got up to 2000K or 2000p, I guess. And then you get up to 4K full, which is upwards of 4000 pixels, 4000p.
Gotcha. So John actually shared his camera. So that's his Fuji right there.
Okay. Very nice.
So I guess another question to put to aim for, what, I mean, 4K, at least talking in the YouTube world, 4K is out there. But when, I mean, how long do we have before it's like the standard and the 1080 is going to be the new 720?
That's one of the big elephant in the room questions. I've heard it brought up before. I mean, you've got people like Michael Bay that are shooting movies now in 8K.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think his last couple movies have been 8K. I almost want to say, and I believe Devin Supertramp's now shooting stuff in 8K. So I don't think it's too far out before 4K is the new 1080 standard type thing. I think 4K is going to be coming pretty soon.
Okay.
I mean, you've already got TVs now that are doing 4K TVs. And yeah, oh, I know, holy crap, 8K.
Oh my gosh.
So you've got TVs that are full straight up 4K TVs now. So I don't think it's too far out there before it's going to be there. I don't think 1080 is going away that quickly. I think there's enough 1080 stuff out there that it's going to be around for a little bit longer. But yeah, 8K is coming. I've heard talk of 10K sensors that are in the works.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's getting out there. But I would say that really, if you're looking to future-proof yourself in your cameras and your purchases from here, if you can afford it, obviously, don't go broke on it. But I think 4K is at least where you should start looking at to just stay in line with the way cameras are going and be
So
able to keep up there.
I guess this is something that I struggle with. Since we had our discussion that one night, I moved, I switched from 1080 to 4K.
Yep.
However, the problem is the file sizes are so freaking big.
They do. Yeah, you are going to be using a lot bigger file sizes, and storage space does become
So
big.
I had to move back to 1080 just because on my laptop I only got 250 gig. So
That's why that's a 4 terabyte.
and I have a 2 terabyte external. It's just I don't have it plugged in all the time.
I think right now with all my video production stuff and YouTube stuff, I've got a 4 terabyte here that's almost full. I've got another 2 terabyte, and I almost want to say I've got another. Maybe it's just those two, but I've got a spare 4 terabyte sitting in the wings ready to go.
Holy cow.
So it does. The file size definitely is a huge issue in that respect. You've got to be able to manage it. And it may come down to even at that, if you can't manage it and just start dumping extra footage. I've started dumping photographs and stuff that I don't use and just kind of keeping that space
Yeah. And
available.
I have space on external hard drives. I just normally have like four or five different projects sitting on my laptop before I clean everything out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've
that's
got my laptop is a 1 terabyte hard drive on it, and I have a current projects folder in there, and I just move stuff back and forth on the external drives when I'm working on it. finished up an edit this week that I'm gonna go ahead and clean off my laptop and put back on the external drive and be done with it. So,
Yay, progress.
yay. So definitely storage space is an issue with that too. Is file sizes become bigger and resolution gets bigger.
All right, so I have a question you may or may not be able to answer. With the GoPro, it gives me 3 different file types. There's the LHM and the MP4 and the L something something. Do you have that with the 4?
I don't remember, but
Okay.
I pretty much even on my Sony and everything else, I'm just MP4s.
I
H.264 for the codec and MP4s for the output file.
okay. My next laptop will have a terabyte gaming one, but I'm not using for games. Nice.
That's Big John. That's exactly what this laptop is that I have here. It's a gaming laptop. It's an Asus. That's what it was designed for, but I bought it straight up for videos. I don't play games either. It's just a straight up. It runs my Adobe products and YouTube, and that's about all I use this computer for. And yeah, and even at 1 terabyte hard drive, like I said, I still move stuff back and forth. So that's
That's
a
insane.
excellent plan there, John.
Well, they're built for a lot of work, and so it works. Probably what I'll do. I want at some point. I kind of want to get a desktop that's big and beefy, but I want to attempt to do some game streaming.
Ah, get a good desktop and a good internet.
Yeah, definitely. There's one streamer that I watch that lives out in the hills of California, and every now and then he'll send a tweet saying, "Not streaming tonight, bad internet."
Yeah,
But I think he runs his off his phone.
I say he had to get they got some satellite internet systems out there and stuff, but what do you mean, Hellkitten? A gaming headset, but you don't play games? That just like the headphones and
Excuse me.
microphone thing like Daren's rocking right now, except for
Actually, I also have this one right here. Hold on.
oh boy, he's going all in, and he can't hear me now because his headphones are off.
Which it appears to be broken.
Can't hear you.
Yes, a Razer Kraken headset.
Can't hear you, Daren.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
What? I didn't unplug anything. You're a jerk.
We had audio problems in the beginning, so I got to mess with them.
You. Yeah. Razer Kraken headset. So you're gonna start gaming, right, Hellkitten?
She said she's got the headset but doesn't game.
All right. Let's see what other questions. Okay. So if anyone in the chat has any questions, comments, speak up.
Yep, hit us up with questions.
I did have one. So tell us a little bit about drones.
Drones?
Yeah.
They
Like,
fly.
okay.
What do you want to know about drones?
Show us yours.
Everybody knows they fly.
Uh-huh.
Everybody knows what they're used for. Everybody knows that they're annoying.
I don't find them annoying.
Yeah. Even as a drone user.
You find them annoying?
Brett that's supposed to join us just says he's almost ready.
All right. Maybe we'll hold off for a few minutes on drones. He's our drone expert.
Brett's drone expert and the FAA licensed drone pilot. I'm going to be soon, but yeah, so maybe we'll wait a minute on drones.
All right. As far as video editing, what so you're shooting 4K, but you edit and export in 1080, right?
Well, it varies. Like even on this Sony, I switch back and forth. It's got a setting on it, a couple of presets that I can program. So I've pre-programmed one setting for 1080 and one setting for 4K.
Gotcha.
But the 1080 setting, I set it for 120 frames, so I can do the
Okay.
slow motion. And I switch back and forth between that, just depending on the circumstance. If you know anything about exposure, the exposure triangle,
Mm-hmm.
you got your aperture, your ISO, and your shutter, and that's going to give you your perfect exposure for the camera based on those three. And I shoot the camera in 4K at 24 frames a second, which then requires my shutter speed to be at 1/50th. So your shutter speed is always double your frame rate. But
Okay.
so if I'm shooting a video as opposed to pictures, and I have my shutter speed that is locked in at that one number because of the frame rate I'm using, then I've got to figure out a different way to fix my exposure so I'm not blown out, which is a lot of times what it is being blown out. So I'll
Gotcha.
switch before 4K and 1080, because at 1080, then I'm shooting 120 frames. That allows me to put my shutter speed up to 100 or 240. And so if it's really bright outside, I can shoot at 1080 and bring that exposure down a little bit, and so it's not blown out.
Okay.
That was probably maybe a little really confusing for those that don't understand the exposure triangle for
It,
DSLR cameras and stuff.
it's been a while, so I'm just trying to make it all click in my mind. So when do you do all of your edits in 1080, or do you switch back and forth on that as well?
Now, right now, with the way YouTube is and everything, 1080 is still standard enough that I'll export them all out in 1080.
Gotcha.
I've done a couple 4K edits.
I bet they were hard on your machine.
They were hard on the machine. I didn't find them really super necessary. I guess one of the reasons we did a 4K edit was we did a drone reel for Brett to put up on his YouTube channel. We did an edit reel on drones, and we wanted it to be in 4K. That was probably one of them. I've done a 360 video in 4K because I could, but yeah, it does get really taxing. So most of my edits are done out in 1080.
Okay. So John had a question. What would be the best cheap gaming laptop that's not garbage? At least, I mean,
cheap.
Yeah. He said he found a $600 one from Finger Hut.
So he says $600, and Hellkitten says 600 is not cheap. John's like, better than 1,000. I'll throw this out really quickly. This gaming computer that I'm using, I thought was fairly inexpensive, especially when you look at Macs, I guess. It depends on what you're comparing it to. I'm just saying.
I know.
When you say cheap, it's going to be dependent on the circumstance. This laptop was $1,200 off Amazon. And so I thought that was a pretty good deal for a really good gaming laptop. I think it's got 16 gigs of RAM.
Ooh.
So it's really nice for that, for editing. And Brett's in.
Hey, Brett.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
I'm doing better now that it's actually working.
Yay.
Introduce yourself, Brett. Say hi to everybody.
Hi everybody, my name is Brett Saunders. And I work for Frito-Lay. And I'm at the lake.
That job. We want to know about the other job.
This is where you're supposed to be in life, is right here.
Yeah, no kidding.
See where this is? That's where it's at.
Is that Recapture?
Fourth Reservoir.
I don't know where that is.
It's north of town. It's not too far away.
Gotcha.
My name is Ben Saunders. I'm a drone pilot, and I own a company called Blue Sarge Productions.
You kind of went into the matrix there.
I'm still here somewhere.
You kind of started garbling up there.
That's my life. That's how it works.
Maybe
We already know.
Maybe you should get an iPhone. That'll fix everything.
Wow, we're already starting into that one, eh?
So what's your production company called?
Twisted Arch Production.
Okay. And you said you're an FAA pilot?
I am an FAA licensed Part 107 pilot.
Okay. So what does that mean to us people that don't know what you're talking about?
So if you're going to take footage with a drone, in order to be able to use that commercially, to be able to sell any type of the photos, be able to work for other companies, you need to retain a FAA license so that you're licensed properly enough to be able to sell the product.
Okay. And
pretty much, go ahead.
I was going to say, how do you get licensed?
Oh, that's a fun process. You got to learn everything that a pilot would learn. And then you need to, there's a lot of different classes and courses in order for you to be able to get all your pre-testing. And there's actual tests on the internet that you can get now in order to, get ready for the test. Then you need to call a licensed agency in order to be able to take the test. I went to Grand Junction actually with Jared, and we went in, and it took me probably 45 minutes or so, I think, somewhere around in there, in order to get the test taken. And I want to say at the time it was like 65 questions.
Gotcha.
And they it's extremely hard. The FAA is well known for playing around with words.
Okay.
The government mixes words?
No.
Yeah, they like to make life a little difficult.
So, as a hobbyist, do you have to have an FAA license?
So you're going to need to register any drone that weighs over half a pound.
Okay.
Actually, pretty much about half a pound. It's like 0.55 ounces or something to that effect. And then as a hobbyist, you're able to take and shoot the footage and do whatever you want as far as that goes. But when it comes down to you selling the footage, using the footage for advertisement or some type of compensation for the footage, that's when it gets a little exciting. There's people that are getting they haven't done a lot with it yet, but there is quite a few people that have been looked into getting pretty good fines for selling footage and using footage that's not been registered.
Gotcha.
And they're going as far as stating now that there's people that are questioning, even if you're using it on YouTube and you're collecting AdSense for it now.
Are you serious?
Paid for that.
Oh yeah.
They're talking about that as being registered as commercial now.
Well, that just
I mean, technically, if you are throwing it up on YouTube and you get to the point where your channel's making money, you are getting compensated for that footage. I mean, even these people that are, trying to show stuff for their friend or take pictures for, realtry, stuff like that, for different realtors and stuff in the area. People are just like, hey, can you just shoot a couple things for me? I mean, it's starting to get to the point where it's any time that it's making money, that's when it's time to start getting licensed.
Gotcha. So
that's a little better.
another thing that I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, and that's why part of the reason you're here is, do you have to register every time you fly, or?
No, so it depends on what you're doing. It depends on like if you're flying for a company, the company needs to be licensed in the area. If you are flying in the city, if you are flying in areas that need it, you need to get your COAs and stuff like that, which is a permit that you're buying in order for the use of the air zone that you are flying in. And if you're close enough within about 5 miles of your local or any type of helipad or airport or anything like that, then you're supposed to be telling them and letting them know how long you're flying, what time you're flying, and how high you're flying, so that they can notify and let people know that if they're coming in certain areas that they know that you're there in case something's going on and they know that there is air traffic in that area.
Gotcha. But is that for commercial or for hobby or both?
That should be for both.
Okay.
If you're within, so like any of the DJI products, because we fly a lot of DJI products, a couple homemade projects and stuff like that. But anytime we go to fly, like I tried to fly yesterday down in an area, I had to go in and unlock the area, give them my information. They send me a token back on my phone and be able to unlock it. That way they know that I'm flying in that area, because it was in the 5 mile bubble of the airport, but it wasn't in so close that I could not fly. So I was still able to unlock it, but it does show them that I am flying.
Gotcha.
But our airport's small enough that it does not have a tower. And so therefore it's a little harder to talk to people. I usually just know who's flying, and I can see well enough around here because we're not in a city.
Yeah.
That I know when a plane's coming in. So planes have the right of way. You definitely do not want to fly when something else is in the air.
And that makes sense.
So even as a hobbyist, you should be giving them the information saying, hey, I'm flying in the area. I'm doing a personal project. I'm not licensed, but this is where I'm at and what I'm doing.
Gotcha. Okay. That's kind of disappointing that as a YouTuber, you still have to get the license. That's something that I was hoping.
It's not being pushed yet, but it's getting close.
Yeah, that was kind of a gray area. They haven't actually started really enforcing that. It's just kind of one of those questions is that people are saying, well, maybe you should, because.
How much was the license expensive, or?
I think if I remember right, I think I paid $100 or 150. It was $150 for the test, and then I put in, I think, my early bird. I got it when we first were getting into the Part 107. I think the class cost me like right around $100 or so.
Gotcha.
So really, it's not super expensive. It's a lot of time though. I think I probably put in in the neighborhood of about 200 or 300 hours just studying like crazy in order to take it, because at the time I wasn't making a lot of money and drones are a little expensive, so it was starting to cost me more than I was making. And so I was passed the first time, and I was able to do that. So it's now the questions are getting more and more. Their library for the questions, I think, are up to like 1,800 questions now.
Oh, wow.
It's a random choice of how many questions you're actually going to get. I think you can either get 60 or 65, I think is the amount of questions on the physical test. And they kind of just pull out of that 1,800 questions.
Was it a 70 or 80% pass?
I think it was I think it's 70% passes.
Okay.
It might, it's almost time for me to renew, so I need to start working on this again. But
yeah, I was gonna say that's another thing is too. It's only a 2-year license. It's
Yep.
renewable. It has to be renewed every 2 years.
Yep. So I just got to go back in, and then I'll take a test. You just got to mark that you've taken the test before. The program that I got into was Drone Pilot, I believe is what the company was that I did my test, my classes through to prepare for the test. And I just got to go back in there, put in my stuff, and start testing again and getting practiced up, because they've added a lot since I've been in there.
Gotcha. That's kind of. I mean, I guess it all makes sense. It's just, and with new technology, everything changes, anyways. So it just sounds like when I'm ready to do it, it sounds like it might be harder.
It's definitely getting a little harder, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating on both ends. You see a lot of people that just to fly, and they'll do whatever they want with the footage. And then you got people like myself that try to do it the correct way.
Yeah.
And it kind of hurts us, because the people that are doing it the wrong way are getting the epic footage, and they're really, they're like, we want to fly at Lake Powell. Lake Powell, you're supposed to be getting a license in order to do it. Not necessarily the license I have. You're supposed to get work and apply for a permit in order to be able to fly. But yeah, you see all these YouTube videos where people just go down, oh, look at, we were down at Lake Powell for the weekend, look at this drone footage, and they're flying everywhere, and we're just drooling over the footage because I can't do it technically.
Yeah.
It takes forever to get the permit to do it. And so it's kind of hard, but at the same time, the knowledge that you get from becoming Part 107 really helps out. Like right now, we're having major problems with fires. Well, as of yesterday, we had a drone pilot that's being hunted down because it's flying one of the fires. And if there is a drone in the area, all aerial
firefighting,
the helicopters in the air that were everything that was in the air firefighting had to be grounded. That cost them, I think, $80,000 to ground the airplanes.
Wow. And then they can't even fight the fires.
Yeah, and then just in case flying.
We're losing you again, Brett. You're like gone off the screen. Walk back out in the middle of the water.
I can see myself.
Walk back out into the middle of the water where you get better service.
Oh, how about now?
Yeah, it's better so far.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
So, Jared actually brought up a point with his. He went out to Sand Hollow for family reunion, and he mentioned that he, as a hobbyist, had to pay to do it out there.
Yeah, and that was just because. Well, I shouldn't say because, but it was a state park. And my opinion was basically they were trying to limit the amount of people that were out there doing it. They were just trying to dissuade people from being out in the state park and flying, and causing a lot of headache and problems that way. The flip side to that is I could have stepped outside of the gates of the state park and flown it right into the park and gotten all the pictures I wanted without even having to be in the park. And I know people that have done that. So there's a lot of places like Brett just mentioned, Lake Powell, where we'd love to go fly down there and get some shots too. But a lot of places now are really restricting drone usage because I think part of it's because of the annoyance. Brett will laugh at this one. We did a search and rescue training in Moab, Utah, a couple years ago, where we're training alongside the park rangers and stuff. And Brett straight up asked them why we can't fly in the park, and They said because they don't want people to look at drones that are flying in the air. They want people to look at the scenery there instead of the drones.
It takes the eye, he said.
What do you say?
It takes the eye away from what they came there for. That's the only reason why we cannot fly in the national parks.
So there's a lot of places now that are getting regulations that way, where you're in national parks, state parks. It's at least nice that the state park gives you an option to fill out a permit there to fly. But in order for me to fly there, they wanted my drone pilot or my drone license registration number. They wanted my Part 107 license number, which I don't have because I'm not flying commercially yet. And so they wanted a lot of information that I just didn't have, and so I couldn't even get a permit to fly there that I believe. So
That's ridiculous.
Well, and as you know, once you get licensed, that's when you can start applying for a lot of these different places to fly in, because they feel because you've gone far as getting the license that you're a little bit more responsible. You're not going to cause problems. You're not going to hang over the people at the beach and stuff like that. So you're going to fly a little bit more responsible. But at the same time, I think the permit was like $20 or $25 or something. Some of the permits that you have to buy in order to fly in some of these places can be upwards of $1,800.
Oh my gosh.
So, and a $20 permit that only takes 10 minutes to fill out or less, versus applying 6 months in advance for a permit is kind of nice. I was floored. I couldn't believe when Jared said that they were charging him. So I actually started a big old huge post on a Facebook page.
I remember that.
And we got all excited about it. And so I didn't know, but at the same time, they helped me realize that it's $25 or whatever it was. They're like, I'll pay that all day long, because they have paid several, up to, almost up to $2,000 in order to fly for, a couple days worth in certain areas.
So what do you have to do to get a permit for Lake Powell?
You have to call the National Park Service. Well, it's not even the National Park Service. It's the, I can't remember the company that's running it.
Aramark?
Aramark.
Is that the way
So you got to, yeah, I think you got to go through Aramark in order to do it and apply through them. And then they sit on the paperwork for like 6 months until you hopefully forget about it. And then after you call them a bunch of times, then you may get it or may not. It's kind of up to their discretion.
That's stupid.
It's dumb.
What does it cost?
I don't think they're charging yet. I think they're still kind of up in the air. But I've only heard of one person ever get one. And it's a guy that's always at the lake.
Is it Devin?
No. Well, I don't even. That one's questionable.
He has like 20 videos on there at Lake Powell.
I've always wondered if he's actually ever gotten permits or if he's filming off the grid somewhere in there. I have there, but
I have the drone that's flown down there a bunch.
Yeah, Brett bought the drone from Devin.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Wow.
It's the one I bought it and it was wrecked, but I know how to fix them because I've also done that. It's the one in his Zelda. If you look up the making of his Zelda video in Moab, one of his pilots wrecked it, and it actually only took a couple bucks to get it fixed. It was pretty sweet.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. Hopefully you got a good deal.
I got a screaming deal on it.
Nice.
I paid less than what I was going to pay for the camera. I got the drone, the new camera, remotes, batteries. I got quite a bit of stuff. So I got a good deal.
Nice. That's pretty sweet.
Drones are life, man. It's so good. You get addicted so fast and you just want to fly all the time. And it's a whole nother realm as soon as you get off the ground. I mean, 20 feet makes a humongous difference.
So talk to us about, and this may be Jared, but talk to us about the beginner drones, like what Jared has.
The Mavic Air is what Jared has. And they've come a long ways. I mean, even these, towards the bottom end, they still shoot 4K. I think the Spark only shoots like 1080 or 720, but they still do fantastic. I mean, if you're only going to upload in 1080, like a lot of people do, then the Spark does just fine. You're limited to, because of the size, they can't handle the wind. Their resolution's a little different. It's like a flying cell phone camera versus flying a camera that's got some depth to it, an actual camera. So, I mean, it's all the bottom stuff is doing pretty well. The Air does extremely well. It's handled some pretty good wind. Jared's put it up in the wind a couple of times. It's done fairly well.
Yep.
I'm actually quite impressed with the Air. Jared's work just got him a Mavic Pro, and it seems like it does really well. It's got a little bit more to it, so it definitely will handle the wind a little bit better.
Nice. So how do those compare to the Phantom?
Well, the new Mavic 2 is definitely a game changer. They went to a 1-inch sensor in a Hasselblad camera, and they're shooting. It's a 10-bit software, so I mean, the camera's phenomenal. So I mean, it's the pretty much the equivalent to the Mavic 4 Pro. So, I mean, you can get, right now they're going to be about the same price. You can get a Mavic 4 Pro Plus, I think, for the same price with a single battery as you will the Mavic 2. I think they're both about $1,500 to $1,800, somewhere in there, once you add a battery or two to it.
Gotcha.
But they both now have a 1-inch sensor, so the quality of the footage is just amazing.
Okay. So basically the Mavic Air would be fine.
Oh, the Mavic Air is a blast, and it's so small. His Mavic Air is the same size as the battery that goes into my drone.
And what drone do you have?
I have an Inspire 1 and an Inspire 1 Pro.
Okay.
Hopefully going to the Inspire 2 soon.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah. It's the big brother to mine. It's not the great big one, but they make, so it would go the Mavic or the Inspire 1, then it would go to the Inspire 2. Then there's a Matrice. There's like 4 or 5 of the Matrices.
I meant the Inspire is the big one compared to the Phantom and the Mavic.
Yes. And they're really fun to carry into canyons.
How much does it weigh?
With a battery and a camera, I'm about 9 pounds.
Oh, wow.
I think Jared's weighs like 1.3 pounds loaded.
Yeah, it's really small. That's one of the reasons that I got the Mavic Air, was so that we can pack it a little bit better.
Makes sense.
Different areas. Brett and I both carried 2 Inspires just from our cars down to the rim of a canyon one day, which is about a half a mile, and it about killed us. So
you add a couple batteries and a couple Inspires, it starts to add up really quick. Like,
yeah, this Mavic Air is perfect, especially for on the go stuff, and backcountry stuff, which we do a lot of. So.
And you said the battery lasts about 20 minutes?
It's roughly about 20 minutes, yeah, for battery length.
Gotcha.
I think when I fly it out, it's about a 17-minute straight flight. When I've done it from point A to point B, I can do it for about 17 minutes, and then it takes the other 3 to fly back to home base.
And it does the follow?
It'll do follow. It'll do lots of different stuff. It'll do all sorts of different little presets that you can use. So that's the Mavic Air right there that we're talking about.
Nice.
Oh, it's so cute.
He's the little guy. I killed both 3 batteries out on it this weekend flying it from my camp trailer out over the lake where I was at.
This is my drone.
Those are so hard to fly.
Yes, it is, and it likes to go. It likes to go in a circle, and it's. Back in
Yeah,
Utah. Back in Utah, I actually had a quadcopter that I kept it at work on my desk. That was fun to fly, but
I would definitely, if it were you were getting ready to start to get into them, it's kind of nice to get the little guys. Don't be deceived at those little ones though. Those things are pretty powerful and they can do some pretty good harm if you get hit by them. But they fly really well. I mean, a quad does extremely well when it's little. But I
yeah,
would definitely wreck a few of like the $80 ones before you get into the big ones and start costing you a couple thousand on a wreck.
that
Start
makes sense. I
backing
know
dumpsters and stuff
what.
before you start backing them into dumpsters.
Um, I heard if you fly them into electrical lines, I heard that works really well too.
Yeah, that works out really well. Yep, that'll cost you a couple grand.
There you go, Daren. You got to put up Brett's video on that.
See if I can find it.
I'll find it.
All right, find it and put it in the.
You want to tell the story on that one, Brett?
Yeah, I'll bring up those painful memories.
Is it the drone crash?
No, it's how to lose a $7,000 drone or wreck a $7,000 drone.
How to lose a $7,000 drone in under 1 minute.
Got it.
Got it?
Let me share my screen.
This was one of the
This was we're filming a foot race down in Bluff, Utah. And I'm probably, I don't know, maybe 2,500 feet away or so. And the phone I was using at the time, I didn't realize it, but
go back, Daren. You got to lock your screen so they can see it while Brett's talking.
Hold on, I gotta figure out how to do that. It's my first day.
First day live streaming.
Yes.
Wow.
All right, now you can talk.
There you go. So I'm filming these guys running down the side of the road there. And the footage looks great on my phone. Everything's good to go. Well, I didn't notice those wires. The screen that I was using was my cell phone. I would definitely recommend using like a iPad Air or something for screen so you could pick up those type of things. But a lot of the bigger drones and a lot of the drones, they have what's called a deflection. They'll hover pretty well flat, but they have a little bit of a deflection to it. And the camera that I'm using hangs down quite a ways because my landing gear lifts up. And right there, it hooked onto the wire as I backed over it. And it dropped me down to the ground and busted my camera. It busted my landing gear. It busted all my props off. It was about $3,800 in about 1 minute.
Oh.
The footage was sweet. I mean, it was doing excellent, and I was super excited. I was actually backing up, following that guy, and the camera, when I take off, my landing gear goes upward, so everything hanging down is just the camera, and it hooked onto the back end of the camera. I had missed it the first time going out by millimeters, and the second time coming back, it backed right into it, and I couldn't see it very well from where I was at because it blended in with the rocks, and then I got to watch it hit the ground and spend a lot of money later.
You're not supposed to wreck them.
Oh, and I'll tell you right now, that'll make you super sick inside.
Hellkit says, I bet somebody had tears in their eyes.
There was a lot more than tears.
I was trying not to puke.
I still
It
remember
was
the phone call. I remember the phone call he made when he called me and told me about it.
it was horrible.
How far away were you from it?
Probably 18 to 2,000 feet, and it was pure stupidity, to tell you the truth. I didn't even notice the wires going down when I drove underneath them. And it's what it was is there was two electrical ones that were way high, and then there was one or two. There was two smaller black ones that were hanging down low or something to that effect. And I just barely went through them the first time, and then backing up, I missed and I hit one. And it doesn't take much to take him out of the air. Once the prop's ruined, it's pretty well done.
Don't tell me my business, Devil Woman. I mean, Big John. He said put the link in the chat, so there you go, Big John. So you're saying it's an expensive hobby?
I've spent a lot of money in it.
Film production period's an expensive gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, any camera. It's one of those things where everybody wants to buy a camera, but then they don't realize that you need a fast computer, you need lots of storage, you need a microphone, you need a stand, some type of tripod or something. It all balls together, and it gets pretty expensive pretty fast.
Are you telling me I can't do it with just my iPhone?
You can to a certain point.
I know. That's where I started, was with my iPhone and my GoPro. But
The new GoPro 7, right?
No, I had a GoPro 3. Yeah, watch it, John. It's actually pretty sad.
And then you can watch there while you're there, John. You can also watch his other video that actually shows the full race right above that. If you go to his channel.
Yeah, we were able to still get some good footage out of the SD card. It didn't ruin the SD card. Luckily, the camera body was still whole enough to where we could pull the footage.
Yep.
There's the race.
The other one that there's on the channel is a homemade job, and I put the wrong battery in it. These newer drones will actually have a visible indicator of how the level of the battery is. And the old drone had the old school LiPo on it, and I put the wrong one in it, and it was already kind of dead. And so when I left the ground, it instantly already had issues, and just got it high enough to wreck it. That was about it.
You're not supposed to wreck it.
No, you wreck, you rebuild, and you repeat.
Hey, that needs to be a T-shirt. Wreck, rebuild, and repeat with a picture of a drone.
Yep, that's drone life.
I call it Brett's patenting the T-shirt. Nobody else can do it. TM.
Oh, there's got to be something out there already.
Go get old Lyle to make you some shirts.
Hey, there you go. I've got a few shirt ideas.
What else on your mind, Daren, for production stuff?
I don't have any further questions. I don't know if anyone in the chat does. I mean, for me, it's been quite educational.
I would say if you're going to get into it big enough, you need to really pay attention to all the regulations. Make sure where you're going to fly is not in a no-fly zone. If you're going to get to the... Go ahead.
Isn't there a website that'll give you all that information? Or an app?
There's quite a few of them out there now. Before you fly, and a couple of those will show you what's going on. A lot of the DJI products will actually... It will turn on, but it won't fly. Like Jared and I have gone down a couple times to fly in an area south of town, and as soon as we turn it on, the light turns red on the back end of the drone, and it will not let you take off. So the drones are really smart. they've got a lot of GPS system in them, and they know what's going on. So a lot of the times, if you fly these bigger brand products, it'll tell you what you can and can't do for the most part.
So, for I guess my question, and I kind of discussed it a little bit with Jared in the past, but what's the difference between the DJI and the GoPro? Like,
The GoPro Karma.
yeah, have you had any experience with that?
One word.
Do not.
Quality.
Okay.
One word is the GoPro sucks. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
It was a good idea. The only thing that came out of it that was any good was the gimbal handle. That's about the gist of the whole system. I know people that bought the GoPro Karma hoping that it was going to be a great product, and they had it for about 10 minutes, and then it flew away.
Are you serious?
That's what it was a software issue. A lot of them were wrecking. A lot of them were flying away. I mean, there was some pretty good problems. That's why they've discontinued it. As far as I know, they're not even doing it anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say they did a recall, and I think they just discontinued them all.
I think it tried to come out for a little bit longer in a revised version of it, but I have never heard really anything about it ever since the first batch that went out that were having major problems.
Gotcha. Okay.
But so definitely, yeah, I would save up and get you something that's got some quality to it, because you're taking, once you get up in the air, you're just kind of playing around. You're flying around doing your thing, but if it takes off and it flies out of its zone, you don't know what's going to happen. It could fly straight up. It could get into a prop of an airplane. It can fly straight up in the air and shut off once the battery gets to a certain point, and now it becomes a missile. So you gotta pay attention. You gotta maintenance your products, whatever it is. There's follow the maintenance program for it. Like the DJI products, after 20 charges of the battery, we do a discharge and a full discharge and a full recharge down to 8%, and then bring them back. And there's a lot to do with them. They're not just a plug it and fly it type deal.
Gotcha. Okay. Does anyone in the chat have any questions as far as drone or equipment or anything like that? We were talking for a few minutes before Brett hopped on. John had a question about gaming laptops. I don't know if Jared answered his question. As far as the desktop, I was looking at spending around $2,000. But that would be a pretty beefy machine. And that's not for another 10 years.
Well, it depends on if you go Mac or not.
Well, I'm looking as far as like right now I have my Mac, but I'm looking at like a Windows to play some games on, because I can't do any games on my Mac.
Yeah, once you get out of the Mac system, $2,000 will get you a screaming machine.
So, yeah, that's kind of what I was looking for, is something like that.
There's a lot of video editors out there nowadays that are ditching Macs and going to PCs just because of cost now.
Yeah.
You can get some screaming machines for a lot the same price as you're going to pay for a low-end Mac.
You just have to deal with the operating system.
To each his own, because I use Windows systems solely, and so I'm fully fine with my Windows PC for the most part. I'm running Windows 10 without any issues. Daren's ignoring me because he's...
I had Windows 10. My wife's laptop that's right there had Windows 10, and I wiped it and put Linux on it. So
yeah,
I wasn't a fan of Windows 10, but I have a feeling that I'm going to have to deal with it anyways to be able to do what I want.
Fan when I switched, I really liked Windows 8. And I wasn't a fan when I was forced to switch to 10, but I've gotten really used to it now.
Gotcha.
And I still think 8 was better. But...
I think 7 was good. My personal favorite was XP.
I think 8's been the best one. So
But I know if I want to do any gaming, I'm gonna have to deal with it. So
Yeah. Yep.
it is what it is. So
I mean, we talked a lot about other production stuff. We didn't get really into editing and whatnot, but I don't know if you have any other questions. Or...
I don't. I mean, we did talk about the main thing that I was gonna discuss was and we kind of touched on it, the editing or filming in 4K and editing in 1080, but it's I don't know if there's much to discuss about that. We both use, and I don't know what Brett uses, but we use Adobe Premiere. I was using
Brett's on the Premiere wagon with me.
On the what?
Yeah. We run Adobe.
All right. I was using Final Cut Pro, and I had no problems with it. But then I just got Adobe Premiere, and it works great. So it's what I know. That's what I use. I know some of the vloggers and people that I associate with use edit on their phones with apps on their phones, but I mean, you can basically use whatever you have at your fingertips. Don't let equipment or anything hold you back from telling your story.
Right. Don't let the equipment be your crutch to not getting stuff done.
Well, it's just like right now, I'm on my phone versus being on a Sony.
Yeah. Which one looks better, right? But he's getting it done.
Yep. So, I don't have anything further. I don't know if anyone else has any questions, comments, concerns. I know John has a problem with Mac, but
we all do, John. We all do.
We're with you, John. I've got an iPhone and an iPad, but there's no way I can get into a laptop or computer or anything for Mac. So Brett's fully anti-Apple everything. So.
Yep. Sorry, can't jump on that bandwagon.
It's all good. You're too busy spending your money on drones, anyways.
That's exactly right.
So.
I can get some pretty good equipment for the same price of an iPhone 10.
All right.
Not to toot a whole lot, Daren, but I just threw in the chat, and I don't know if you want to do links or anything, but if anybody has further questions, they want to hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. I'm on there at CanyonBug is my handle on Instagram and Twitter. Brett's on Instagram as at Twisted Arch Productions and Twitter as at Twisted_Arch.
Look at Jared doing self-promotion in my...
That's how it's done, Daren. That's how it's done.
I'm just joking. Jared...
If anybody has questions, I thought it'd be the best place to get a hold of us.
Jared's been helping me out with so much over the past 2 years. Jared has more experience than I do with video. Like I believe we took the same classes in high school. Probably even the same teacher. Maybe not the same teacher.
Probably the same teacher.
But I feel like Jared's been doing it longer. Hold on. Twisted Arch Productions on Twitter.
Twisted_Arch on Twitter. Yes, Hell Kitten, I do. Thank you.
I think your brother isn't. I'm just giving him. Hold on, this is not working.
You want me to find him?
Oh, Twisted_Arch, not Productions.
Not Productions. Okay.
Dang it, Brad, why do you got to make things so difficult?
It's not.
Wasn't me.
Dang it, Jared, why do you got to make things so difficult?
Stupid Twitter. I couldn't even get my other business on there completely. So I think some of us need to, Hell Kitten.
Do I need to do... See, wait, I think your brother's entitled to self-promo.
No, the bottom one there.
Do I need to do it for you? No, I got it.
If anybody's ever down in southeastern Utah and wants to go hit Lake Powell and whatnot, heck yeah. Brett and I will take you out and we'll go shoot some stuff.
On the weekends.
Yep. One weekend a month.
Yeah.
We got such stupid work schedules.
I've got my schedule. I have Saturday, Sunday for probably the next 3 weeks or so, and then I go Sunday, Monday.
And I just finished off my 1 weekend a month off, so. Yay!
Gonna have to save up for the next one.
Yeah. 2 more years of this, and then I get some freedom, so.
Twisted, what is it on Instagram? Twisted Arts Productions?
Yeah.
Yep.
Why don't you just drop the link in the chat, Jared? It's not coming out. You have a wrench, you can drop links.
Yeah, give me a second.
Oh my gosh. Why is it not coming up? I think you're wrong. TWISTED Arts Productions. Son of a...
No profanity.
It's not Shuns, it's one S. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know what the screaming was.
The screaming was somebody here at the lake.
The screaming was somebody there at the lake.
I got it. No F.
Oh, no, we had to remove the S. I forgot about that.
See, you confused me.
Well, I let my my URL pass, and it turned into a dog food
$200
site.
Oh my god, dog food. Yeah, never let your domain expire. Then somebody will snag it.
Yep, an Asian company bought it and would like me to give them like $2,000 for the license back.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
I didn't know you changed it on Instagram though.
I forgot I had. That was recent.
He's got some pretty decent pictures.
He does some.
Yeah, I try.
You're laying in the middle of the road. That's very dangerous.
Hey, you got to do it. You got to be dedicated when you are taking photos.
That's me laying in the road.
Yep, that's Hillhouse in the road. That's Jared.
It's me in the road. Brett's taking the picture.
I'm in the road. I'm in the road right behind him.
I thought my mom raised smarter kids than that.
That is world famous Forrest Gump Hill.
Which one?
The one with
the one with Jared in the road.
Okay.
That's Forrest Gump Hill.
That's where Gump turned around and went back home.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm running now. I think I'm gonna go home or whatever.
I'm tired.
Tired now. I think I'm gonna go home.
Gotcha.
That's about an hour from here.
I do creep on people. Still haven't been able to find Hell Kitten though.
You haven't found her yet?
No.
That was an easy one.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, man.
All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Jared.
Thanks, guys.
Anyone has any other questions, you know where to find them. So, you guys have a good night.
Okay. Peace out.
Boy.
See you guys.